Are you working now? You're focusing? You're going? Okay. Sorry, there were some issues with the connectivity of things, and I don't really know what happened. Technology, yay. Hi. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Welcome to Season 5, Episode 18 discussion. As you can probably tell, I'm not entirely peppy about things. Let's put it this way. There were things that I liked in the episode. There were things that I was just like, okay, I'm bored. Let's keep going. So yeah, today was a little bit like back and forth on things, which I wish that there were things that could have been better, because like for such a momentous episode to have the first canon LGBT relationship to go canon and have a true love's kiss to confirm it, like you would have really liked it to be like a bigger thing. I don't know. There were some weird things and some things that I was just like, kind of iffy on some other stuff. But we will prevail. It happens. Bad episode, episodes that we're not always thrilled with happen. It happens. Everything can't be 10 out of 10 would watch again. Let's see. Let me open up all the things I need to open up, because I do have them. Hello. Okay, so again, I don't think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to do like last week, where I just kind of go with whatever pops in my head, because there's a lot of stuff that I wrote down, but again, it's just mostly sass and not really like notes about things. I will say that I did completely and totally 100% forget about the upcoming Charmings versus James thing, which is happening next week. So I did think like, oh, they're going to send Charming to Oz, and maybe he's going to get stuck in Oz, and that's what we're going to do in season 6, is we're going to go to Oz. And no, that's not what happened at all, which I'm happy about. Sorry, there's a thing on my glasses, and I would like there to not be a thing on my glasses, because then I can't see if there's a thing on my glasses. Okay. So I did like for a hot minute think like, oh yeah, they're gonna trap Charming in Oz, and then we have to go save Charming next season, and no, that's not what happened. So I think this week we're just gonna do some sass and some discussion. I do have a lot of things I have to get done for school, so I don't anticipate this going very long, which, I'm actually okay with this not going too long tonight, just because I have a big presentation I have to do tomorrow, and it's not entirely done yet. I have it started. It's just I need to finish it. Yay. So I have, lots of stuff to get done. So hopefully we get through this pretty quickly. So, it is a little bit distracting to watch a live stream and an episode at the same time. I would imagine that would be something that's not easy to do. It's happy for Ruby and Belle. Well, I'm not sure if I'm too happy for Belle. We're going to discuss that a little bit too, because I feel like I remember something about Belle's dad that she doesn't, which is interesting. That's gonna. I'm really interested at this turn of events with the whole Belle thing. Not like interested in that, like, I'm just like, how long is she gonna be out of it? How long is she gonna be under the sleeping curse? Because like, really, if Rumpel was like, I don't want her to do this, he would have woken her up immediately. I know that she did it because she wanted him to come up with a way to stop Hades and all of that, but like, if Rumpel doth protest too much, then like, wouldn't he have immediately just been like, okay, I'm gonna wake you up now? Or is he actually listening to Belle for once, and he's not doing what she doesn't want him to do? Gosh, what a concept. Okay, Dorothy, that makes much more sense. Yeah, because sure, Belle is kind of out of Rumpel's loop, I guess. Why did I just do that? I'm gonna put my keyboard. My keyboard is on my lap, and I'm going to keep hitting keys. So I'm going to put that up and out of the way so I don't do that and accidentally cause havoc. So some stuff happened. We're just going to go with that. Okay, I will say that, like, I'm totally, like, you know, so, like, people were ragging on this some time ago, and I think that was something that was in an episode, one of the preview clips, and like Adam already went on Twitter and was like, okay, so that's not what we told the editing booth to do, so I don't know why that's there. So whatever. But like at the same time, like a week ago is some time ago. So again, like fandom stop bitching. Like that's my hashtag. That's my official hashtag. Hashtag fandom stop bitching. That's where I'm at right now. So yeah, a week ago is some time ago because it's not like, you know, 3 seconds ago. So there's that. What was it? The whole, like, I saw some people were like, you know, because like Killian has really nice handwriting. Like, why did he, like, the way he wrote David's name on the tombstone is like super not coordinated. I'm like, well, he's writing with his non-dominant hand, which happens to also be a pointed metal object and not actually a hand, that I'm pretty sure Killian hasn't been like practicing writing with for the last whatever. And it's like also a vertical surface. It's not like how on the Jolly Roger when he wrote port and starboard for Bellfire. Like that was at least like a flat surface where he could, you know, do port and starboard, or whichever way port and starboard are, because I don't remember which was left and which is right. Oopsie. So like, you know, circumstances are different and whatever. And what was the other thing that I was like, oh, and the True Love's Kiss. We're gonna chat a little bit about that because I don't need the confirmation. I don't think they need the confirmation. I think people just want it because they do, like, people just want it because every other couple except for Robin and Regina, who are confirmed soulmates. And I'm still very fascinated by how we differentiate that there's true love and then Robin and Regina are soulmates. That's very interesting to me. That it's always fascinating that there's like this very specific differentiation. And I'm curious to what that means and like why it's different. I could probably think of something, but I've been wondering that for a long time, like why we specifically say that Robin and Regina are soulmates and Snow and Charming have true love. Interesting. Yeah, so we'll talk about the True Love's Kiss and like just why I feel like it's different. Sorry, my lips are like really bad today. Hashtag not spawn. Yeah, so let's see, where are we at? Okay, I'm going to spend as minimal time talking about Zelina as possible just because we're back to being really wishy-washy on her. And like for a couple episodes, I was actually like kind of on board with this character being here because they were trying to give her something. They're trying to do a little bit more with her. And now we're back to like on her. I do have to say that I feel like we're not, we're being kind of wishy-washy about the whole thing with Hades because I feel like she wants him to love her, but because it's Zelina, it's selfish. Like she wants him to selfishly love her, and it's not going to be like super awesome, happy fun times true love. It's going to be very selfish true love, and I think that that's something that is possible and that we can explore. Because I feel like she's into the idea of Hades being in love with her, but she doesn't want to get into it because she's like, well, that's going to tie me down and that's going to do this and that. Like she's into the idea of somebody loving her, but not giving anything back to it. I feel like she's afraid to get into it really because of the fact that she's going to have to give something back into it. She's not really interested. But again, we're going to have to wait and see what happens next week with Hades proposing. Is that what happened? I'm not entirely sure. He just said, will you cause chaos with me? And I mean, I guess that's, some people might consider that a marriage proposal. I certainly don't. So, in case you were planning on proposing to me, take note to not do it that way. Just saying. but I don't know. So I just feel like Zelina's being very wishy-washy, and they're trying. I can see they're really trying to go the route they did with Regina and giving her the angle of like she wants to stay on the side of good just for the fact of being able to see her daughter. But then she's probably going to pull the thing that she did before where she's like, I'm going to just run away with her again. Like, that's not how this... So I can see where they're trying to go the route of motherhood equals redemption. And they really want to make it work. But Zelina's characterization doesn't allow for that to work unless they do something to overhaul it. And I'm not really sure what that's going to be. So yeah, they're trying, and like Regina's really trying. She's like, if anything else, this whole thing with Zelina is really showing how far Regina has changed as a character, because like, bless her, she's trying. Like, she's really just trying to like do something with it. And Zelina is calling her out on it, honestly, which again, deserved, because they didn't like each other very much. But it's... And the other thing is, like, she mentioned specifically this episode, I just saw that in my notes, that, like, Zelina's like, oh, the moment that someone admits they're never going to get their happy ending, like, that's kind of the moment when it starts happening. Like, it's like the whole thing where if you stop looking for love, that's when it finds you, like that old adage. So that's kind of where we're at with Zelina, and I'm just like, okay, so that's going to be next episode. It looks like if next episode is named Sisters, then it's going to be mostly centered on Regina and Zelina, and we're going to have the B plot is going to be Charming and James, it looks like, and Robin's actually going to be in that next episode. Gosh, where, like, I know he's off hiding in the woods with this baby, but like, come on. And I do agree. My friend Steph made this good point about how, if Robin is off hiding in the woods with this baby, like, maybe send him with Ruby and Snow to Oz, and then like they'll like Snow and Robin and the baby can then go back to Storybrooke and it'll be okay. Like, I don't really see what's going on with that, like why they didn't do that, but they got plans for Robin, I guess, that require him to be down there. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so that's really all I have to say about Zelina, because, like, really, she's just kind of, I'm back to being like, okay, I'm over this whole thing with Zelina. Like, I was on board for a little while. I was actually, like, okay with this happening, and now I'm back to not. So next week is going to be another trial. But no, actually, next week is going to be a trial IRL and for this episode, because I have so much due for school. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about Ruby Slippers, not the episode, the ship, and how we have this. I'm not sure whether to applaud them or to just give them a big ol', because they just kind of handed the fandom a ship name. And I'm just like, why, like, I don't know. And I'm curious to see if Ruby and Dorothy's ship keeps that name, or if the shippers are just like, we're not taking the episode title and giving that to the ship, because I'm very, not really, I'm curious to see how that plays out, because I don't see it. So let's bring Mulan into this as well, because like we have these three women who obviously are like women. We know that Mulan was in love with Aurora for a while, and she was also with Philip, so she's bisexual. And then we know Ruby had a boyfriend, and now she was into a bunch of boys in Storybrooke, and now she's with Dorothy. And I guess we don't really know anything about Dorothy's previous history except the fact that she didn't have anybody, so she could be whatever you want her to be, bisexual or lesbian. So yeah, let's talk about these three girls for a little while. I'm very curious, like, I am a little curious as to why they didn't go with Ruby and Mulan. And I would like to see the fanfic where they talk about this. And I get, like, on the one hand, I do like that it's not just like, oh, we're the only two LGBT girls in the area, so I guess that means we gotta be together. Like, because I know that that's kind of a tired old cliche as well. But at the same time, like, I would like to see the conversation that goes, like, with them talking about, like, if Mulan had ever felt anything for Ruby and how Ruby responded to that and how they came to this conclusion of, like, how they get to, because they had this very comfortable conversation about it over the next to the fire. And, like, I want to see how they got to that place of comfort, I guess, where they could talk about this kind of thing openly. Because, again, like, it is kind of like, you know, there are, like, these stories about how, like, oh, there's, like, only two openly gay kids at this school. And, like, well, why don't they date each other? Well, because, surprise, just because you share the same sexuality as somebody doesn't mean they automatically think you're attractive. But, like, at the same time, I did see kind of Mulan. I don't know if Jamie Chung did this on purpose, but, like, Mulan was kind of, like, checking out Ruby's ass a little bit every once in a while. And I did, like, Mulan had a couple of really great side eyes that was just like, girl, I'm hella gay, and I'm telling you that you are even more gay than I am. I appreciated those looks as well. But yeah, I really would like to see the conversation of where they both established, like, yeah, I'm open to this, but not really into it, whatever. So I would like to see that conversation have happened. Or if somebody wants to write a fanfic about that, please do and send it to me, because reasons. So yeah, but aside from that, like, there is the whole thing of, like, well, we have Mulan, who has been canonically bi for several seasons now, and we were kind of teased with this with Ruby and Mulan in this one episode that now apparently I'm trying to figure out, like, why this episode is there except to just put Ruby and Mulan together and then they reappear in this episode. And actually, you want to know how much I forgot about that episode? Like, how much, like, aside from the Marintosh stuff, like, how much I completely forgot about that episode when, what did she say? As Mulan was saying to Zelina, she's like, do you want to face us again? And, like, I legitimately thought, like, wait a second, was Mulan around in season 3? Because how did she face Zelina before? And, like, I had to look up Mulan's profile on the Once Wiki to, like, make sure that I wasn't crazy. And I had to, like, look and be like, oh, right, that episode was Zelina and Arthur, and that was, like, the only vague tie-in to the Camelot storyline. So, like, that's how much I forgot about that episode. Yeah. So we have Mulan, who has been canonically bi for a long time, and she's still kind of forever alone. And I don't know, it's weird because it's like it's like this really weird trade-off, and I don't think it needs to be a trade-off where it's like we have Ruby and Dorothy, so great, canonically female couple, and we had to sacrifice the love interest possibility of the Chinese girl who also likes swimming. Like, it's like Mulan got shelved a little bit there, and, like, I don't know. It is on the one hand, there are 3 canonically women-loving women on the show, but one of them happens to be a person of color and gets shelved. Like, it's weird. It's such a weird, like, I just kind of felt like they had to, like, check mark one or the other. Like, they had the box of, like, representation. They had to be like, okay, so which box do we check? And we can't, like, I'm like, there shouldn't be a check mark of the box. And I realized that, television is eons behind popular, how society is, and it's just, it shouldn't be. It should be the leader of society. We should always strive to be more. I could go on a soapbox, but I did Safe Zone ally training yesterday, and so I'm like super in the zone of LGBT rights and everything right now, and I'm just like so. And I'm not purposely leaving out the T. LGBT is just referring to the sexuality, whereas transgender it's different. It's a different, but so I'm just like I don't know. There's a weird scale to balance, and it shouldn't be like that. So I'm kind of a little bit lost as to why we had to balance everything, because it just didn't feel like we needed to. So we have that. So I'm going to set aside my issues with balancing race and sexuality into different categories for some reason. And like we do have like at the same, like we had Dorothy, and we didn't really know we still really don't know anything about her except that her family thought that she was crazy and they tried to have her committed, which that does give Dorothy and Ruby like common ground, because like they both were shunned from their central units, I suppose, what they would consider a family unit, because I guess a village in Enchanted Forest times, wherever they are, like it would be considered a family because you're kind of there with nobody else unless you go on a trade fair to a different village. So you are kind of family. So they do kind of have this shared idea of what it means to be shunned by your family for who you are, which ding, there's some metaphors, I guess. There's a weird metaphor, I guess. So there's that, and like Dorothy's very angry, which again, it's understandable. Like she's lost the only person who was there for her. I still want to know how she got so good with that crossbow. There's just I don't even know where I'm trying to go with this. But like they have some common ground, and I can see where it happens so quickly, because a lot of things I'm seeing is like people being upset that like it's just like they knew each other for a couple of hours or whatever. Well, that's how it works in fairy tale land. So I feel like people who are upset that Ruby and Dorothy like happening so quickly are forgetting that like people who are mad, I must say that I'm seeing about that are mostly CS shippers who are like, well, why doesn't Captain Swan have a true love's kiss yet? And it's like, first off, they don't need it, because like we know as the audience, we get it. And like some people want it for some like other reasons, and I understand why people want it, but at the same time, like they don't need it, and like they've always been a slow burn, so like whatever, like it doesn't matter, like it's gonna happen when it happens. But at the same time, like the rules are always a little bit different in the fairy tale world versus Earth, and like Emma doesn't have the fairy tale land mentality where like anything can happen and it's all bright and shiny and sparkly, like look at snow. So she doesn't have that, so she's not going to immediately be like, oh, obviously if I'm feeling like this, and this must be true love, because she doesn't know what that feels like. And she doesn't she doesn't have this upbringing of knowing like this is what true love feels like and this is how it works, and I know immediately. Whereas like everybody who has met and like been from the Enchanted Forest and like understands how it works, they're just like, I know what this feeling is, and I understand what it is. It can be true love, and it's so great, or it's terrifying, or whatever your feeling is going to be about it. So like I can get why, like, and since the majority of Captain Swan's relationship has happened in the Enchanted Forest or in Neverland, or not Enchanted Forest, sorry, on Earth or in Neverland, like it's like the rules work a little bit differently. So it's gonna be it's a little different. Plus there hasn't been an excuse for them to do a true love kiss. Like it doesn't mean that they're never going to get one. It just means that there hasn't been a circumstance for that to actually happen yet. So hashtag fandom stop bitching. That's where I'm at. I'm so tired of fandom right now, for a lot of reasons. And what else do I have to say about, I'm going to try to go back to Dorothy and Ruby. What else did I have? I thought it was an interesting note that in this version, Toto wasn't with Dorothy when she went to Oz for the first time. So, which would mean that, like, a lot of, yeah, we knew that because, like, we have seen Dorothy in Oz, right? Like, yeah, we did see her in Oz. So, was she in, like, dang it, I have to go back and watch season 3, aren't I? Damn it. Because I don't remember, like, how that worked. Because I know that she was on the Council of Witches, and, like, she was supposed to fill in a seat and be one of the good witches who ruled and whatever. And, like, okay, so I'll say this about Dorothy, too. So Dorothy being under the sleeping curse and, like, suspended animation, basically, is what this kind of sleeping curse is. I was having some major flashbacks to Wicked and things about Ozma and, like, how they thought, like, the people thought that Ozma was under, like, a suspended animation thing and she would eventually be awakened and save everybody because they couldn't believe that the wizard would kill a child and all of that. So I was having a lot of thoughts about Ozma and just being like, okay, so that's the way that we're going to reference that. So we had that. We had the Aladdin moment between Ruby and Dorothy. Let's see. So we have, I'm skipping around ahead. Yeah, so we had the Aladdin moment of Ruby saying, "Do you trust me?" And Dorothy giving her this look and going, "Yes." And then Ruby transformed into the werewolf. And then okay, so some people were making this very crude. I'm not mentioning some individuals who might have been making this a little bit crude, with Dorothy riding on Ruby. My thought, because I am a pure creature who has no bad thoughts ever, my first thought was, oh, they're pulling a Twilight Princess. Because Link turns into the wolf and Twilight Princess and Midna's on his back all the time. So that's what I was thinking. Other people thought different things, but, you know, everybody to each their own, I suppose. So that we had the Twilight Princess moment, which I guess was the big awakening moment of, like, oh, maybe I really like this girl and I don't understand what my feelings are doing. Maybe because this Dorothy is from 1939. So I'm not really sure how old Dorothy is and what kind of Kansas she's from. So I'm interested to see about that. If it's ever mentioned again. I am actually totally fine if they just go the whole route of Dorothy and Ruby are just like, okay, well, they're here now and they're together and they're happy and we never see them again. Because that means that the spring 2016 of LGB ladies on TV getting murdered doesn't go up anymore. Yeah, we had, yeah, so I'm totally okay with them just being like, okay, so they're off in Oz and they're doing their thing and they're fine by themselves and we're not going to touch on them for a while. Totally fine with that. And it was really weird. So let's talk about the sleeping curse now, because we know that sleeping curses have to be taken willingly in order to actually work. And yet Zelena was like, she was going to make me prick my finger and put me to sleep. But then Zelena very forcibly made Dorothy prick her finger, and that's how she put her into sleeping curse. Now, sleeping curses, as we know them, are supposed to work only when, only when people take them willingly. However, I think because this is something that Mulan came up with, and we talked about the poppies a lot, like poppies were a big thing this episode. I think that because they were brewed with poppies and it was not quite magic, like it was magic, but it wasn't magic, like it's going to work differently. It can be something that is forced on somebody. Like the giant sleeping powder back in season 2. So I think it's something about that, where the ones that are made with poppies are different than the ones that are made magically. And I'm not sure if we've ever known what Maleficent's sleeping curse potion is. I don't think it's ever been mentioned. But I'm thinking that this is different, because otherwise I'm like, well, then that's not how it works. But if, again, I would just be like, okay, so Oz's sleeping curses work differently than Enchanted Forest ones, but that's, again, what the one that Belle used to put herself under. So I'm thinking it's different with Belle because she willingly took the curse, but yeah, it's a little bit weird. So everybody's standing around the sleeping girl, and it's really weird whenever they do that. I'm just like, why are you all just standing in a circle watching her? She's not doing anything. She's not dead yet. Ruby comes in and she's with Snow, and Ruby does this weird, like, fixing her hair or whatever, and then she true love kisses her back to life, and then they have a grand old makeout session after, like, you feel the same way, I never knew, and then makeouts happen. And then we go to Henry, where he has to write the Ruby Slippers fanfic in the book. Oh, this is the part that we were all like, oh man, Henry's gonna have to know about all the things now that he might rather not have known about. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna see what else I need to touch on. I'm going to touch on Captain Charming now, because there's a lot of Captain Charming that happened. So we had them both going around with only bros go out together with twin popped collars and smoldering looks, which I totally appreciate. Thank you very much. And Henry's with them, and then kind of Henry vanishes for a little while. I'm not really sure where he went. And did they do anything else before? Nope, they didn't. So we had this thing with Killian was being very angsty and angry and flipping through the book and trying to find answers about something. And apparently now the Wizard of Oz is in the book as well, but, the book gets added stuff to it all the time. That was a sentence that was not in the correct order. I'm sorry for my grammar. So Killian being really angsty and angry and slamming the book shut and being all like, broody, oh man, my life is so hard. And then we have Charming is just like really angrily taking his coat off, and I'm like, well, at least I'm getting some good eye candy on this episode. Nothing else happens. And then we had really deeply emotional moment between Captain Charming, and like I say, it's deeply emotional. I realize it was like, a 30-second scene. However, I take what I can. So they had the moment where like Charming is angry and he's ranting. He's like, we should be with our son, and my wife should be there, and I can't believe that I have to leave, and I can't do this, and it should be my wife, and none of us should be down here. And then Killian's like, yeah. And then Charming's just like, no, didn't mean it like that. Sorry. No, that's not what and then they have this little moment where they're just like, I guess I kind of care about you. And Killian does the little, I just liked that Charming admitted that he's like, okay, I kind of like you. And Killian just goes like, would you say that again? I didn't quite hear you. I didn't hear you tell me that you actually like me. So just say it again a little bit louder this time so everybody can hear that David Nolan likes Killian Jones, because I didn't hear you the first time. Like, he just gave him so much shit about it. I was like, okay, everything else in the episode is fine. I don't care about anything else, because we just had this little moment of Captain Charming being dorks together, and admitting they actually kind of like each other a little bit. So yeah, it's happy little moments like that. And then we had Killian just being like, so if you really think your wife should be the one that goes, then I have this is not the right hand, my magically enchanted hook, which can really sloppily carve letters into a tombstone and trade out lives. And that's how Snow White got out of the underworld. which I'm actually interested to see what happens now. Like, we're kind of splitting people up again, and I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to work. Like, I know we've taken some moments where we have, like, some characters go off screen for an episode or 2 episodes or however many episodes that Robin has not been on TV now, where we're just like, oh, like even today I was just like, oh yeah, Robin wasn't in this episode. Oh wait, he's with the baby in the forest. That's right, he's supposed to be off screen for reasons. So like it kind of makes sense that Ginny would be the one to go to like be off screen for all, because she's heavily pregnant and maybe would like to not be on her feet for a little while, or, you know, be with their already existing child. So I thought that was really interesting, and I'm kind of curious to see if we're going to have any flashes to the above ground now, if we're going to kind of be done with the flashbacks next episode, or I'm not sure how that's going to work, or if Ginny's not going to be in the next episode or not. So it'd be interesting to see. And so I'm going to spend very little time talking about Belle, because after last week, I'm just like I had a lot of good thoughts about last week, and now I'm just like, if it's not the focus, I don't want to think about it. If it's not the focus, I don't want to think about it. So Belle had this chat with Zelena, and she had morning sickness, and she kind of had this fear about Hades speeding up the pregnancy, because that's what happened with Zelena. And I was just sitting there like, no. So hopefully now that Belle has now entered stasis, and she's in the sleeping curse, that she's not going to have to suffer through Hades' weird body manipulation horror things, because no more weird quick girl babies, please, thank you. Because I don't know if I can go through that one again. If they're trying to explain away Emily's baby bump or whatever, I just can't do it. Don't want to do it. I'm kind of curious about how they're going to handle how to wake up Belle from her true love's kiss, with true love's kiss rather, because I don't know if Belle remembers this, but I remember this, when her father shackled her into a minecart and tried to send her over the town line to make her lose her memory for her own good. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't seem much like true love to me, and also not that her father was a very good person. So awkward. So I'm not really sure if that's going to be the case, or if Rumpel is going to be the one who's like, yeah, I will take the, like, if they're going to try to do the thing where he uses true love's kiss and frees her while also not being the dark one anymore. Like, I'm just not entirely certain how that's going to work, or if she's just going to leave Belle in the sleeping curse for a while. I don't know. And with all the sleeping curse tossed around today, I just was trying to think about, like, we haven't really touched on the Netherworld since really season 2. So, like, you know, we have Dorothy now who will be going to the Netherworld in the Room of Fire. I don't think Henry goes anymore because he has the charm to protect him from that, if he wears it anymore, if he does that anymore. Now we have Belle who would go, or who's just there because she's in the sleeping curse. Aurora still, Charming and Snow. I'm trying to remember. I don't think anybody else has been under a sleeping curse. I'm thinking of a fanfic where that happens. And I'm like, no, don't conflict the fic with reality, because that's just going to make it even worse. Yeah. So I'm interested to see, like, we talked a lot about sleeping curse, and we haven't had a real sleeping curse discussion in a while, not really since Maleficent. And even then it was just kind of like she had the sleeping spell, which it worked differently because like the sleeping spell works differently than the sleeping curse, because like a spell just kind of speeds up something that happens naturally. Like everybody sleeps. So if you just have like the magical powder to like kind of hasten sleep along, that's different than like trapping somebody in their sleep forever until something comes and breaks it. So like that's really the only last time we've talked about a sleeping curse. And like it was just brought up a lot this episode. And I'm kind of wondering if that's teasing something or not. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm going to keep it on the back burner because I'm not really sure. But yeah, not really into the whole, like, I'm just interested to see if anything's going to pan out of that or if we're just like relying on it for whatever reason. Yeah, so Belle goes into sleeping curse and she's in stasis now, so don't worry about the baby, I guess. And I'm not going to worry about the baby. I'm just not going to think about it anymore. Let's see, what else do we have? I just wanted to make a note that I like that, I'm just assuming that because Emma didn't go down to the underworld with this big poofy puffy jacket that she's wearing. I know I've said this before, but it still makes me laugh. She went down with her red jacket. She went down with the savior coat, so she's ready to like go kick somebody's ass because that's what the red coat is for. And now she has this really warm puffy jacket and she like has the hood up and like she's all nice and warm and toasty. And I love, like, I know that that's like a thing, like fandom has like professed the love for Emma's beanies and like how she like dresses all nice and she dresses properly for whatever weather she's in, which I know JMO has like appreciated. She's like, then I get to dress warm and be not freezing all the time on set. So now I'm just wondering if like they're just kind of hand waving and like, yeah, Emma magicked herself this warmer coat and like JMO's just like, I get to wear a nice big parka and a hoodie and you guys can't stop me. Because it's just I just like that she's just kind of walking around like with the hood up and the parka and she's like got the beanie on and she's just like, I'm nice and warm and you guys are in your fashionable clothing that is not, it's not functional, it's fashionable. Whereas Emma is very much dress functionality, not fashion. I don't want to talk about Hades today because Hades thing, I'm glad that he got involved in the storyline a little bit more because he's kind of been on the sidelines. But like this episode, I'm just like, you don't really have much to do except you liquefied Auntie M. I have no significant thoughts on that. Wolfie in Kansas, I just saw that. I mentioned that before, but you know, that's not super duper in love with each other already or anything. Giving each other nicknames. I feel like I mentioned everything. It's been half an hour and I think I mentioned everything, which again isn't a bad thing because I have so much to do. Yeah, so, okay, so let's chat in the comments for a little bit because the comments are a little bit quiet tonight. There's not very many people watching tonight and I think I know why. Because it wasn't a very interesting episode. It wasn't a very exciting episode that we want to talk about. I'm going to eat this piece of chocolate that is shaped kind of like a pyramid and is also #NotSpawn. Okay, so the true love versus soulmate. Maybe soulmates are fated and true loves are more people who fall in love. I was kind of thinking that. Kim, and I was also thinking possibly that this is how we kind of circumvent the issue of possibly having more than one true love. Whereas soulmates are like the person that you are supposed to be with and like this is your perfect match. But also then we can say that like, so Regina has a soulmate and her true love is Henry. But that doesn't negate the fact that she also has Robin, who she could possibly also have true love with. So like soulmate is the person that you're supposed to be with, but you can then have multiple true loves. Does that make any sense? I don't know if it makes sense or not, but like just because we have played with the idea of multiple true loves on the show before, I just feel like that might be what we're getting at. Did I want to talk about something else regarding true love? I think I talked about it already. The Captain Swan kiss and like why people need to hashtag stop bitching or fandom stop bitching. Yeah, I think I talked about that already. So I don't need to talk about it. Um, yeah, that's, though I did have a good point. This one blog I follow, on Tumblr, she goes by Jet. She recently rewatched, Once More with Feeling, and when I watched Buffy, I marathoned the entire show in a matter of like a month. Like I watched the whole thing beginning to end in the span of a very short amount of time, watching way more television than is healthy for one to do, but that's what happens when you're unemployed. Funnily enough, so I kind of missed like the subtle nuances that I would have picked up on had I like been active within the Buffy fandom when it had been airing. And if it had been like how it is now, where it's like everybody's kind of theorizing and tossing back and forth, when Buffy was on the air, that was kind of the very beginning of internet fandom, like trying to, like, it was the primordial stage of what it is now. It was largely comprised of like message, but like I very vaguely remember this because I was 10, 11, 12 years old back in these days. But there was message boards and there were chat rooms and email lists. And like, that was kind of it, unless you like really knew how to code and how to like get into like hidden communities and all this stuff. Which I at a young age did not. And I was not into things that kind of needed that. So I kind of missed a lot of the subtleties of Buffy when I was just sprinting through it. I did stop for a full day after the season 5 finale because it's one of the, like, just builds up to something so huge and emotional that I needed to let it breathe for a day. I needed to let it sit with me for a while. Season 5 finale of Buffy. If you have not watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, watch through season 5. You don't have to watch the rest of it, but watch through season 5 to get all of the character stuff. And then the finale just hits you so hard that you're just like, it's really good. So Once More with Feeling is the season 6 episode. And Wills does some stuff in season 6. God bless Willow, but she's not the smartest when it comes to people and relationships. So when it comes to the song Under Your Spell, it's actually kind of relating to the fact that Willow put Tara under a spell to make her forget about this huge fight that they had that possibly could have led to them breaking up, and kind of backfires a little bit. So I didn't realize that until somebody mentioned that, or till Jet mentioned it. I was like, oh my God, that puts everything on a whole different circumstance, because I was mostly focusing on the fact that Allison, I can't remember her last name, the girl who plays Willow, she can't sing, very famously cannot sing at all. Like, they've made fun of it on every single show that she has been on, and she can't sing. Poor girl, she just can't do it. So I was mostly just focusing on that during that song. But it really is just about how like Tara is literally under Willow's spell, and it's not really a good thing. So I'm not really sure if I really want to attribute that. Like, I know that it's kind of a big, like, Lesier song, particularly for geeky TV, but it's not really a good song. Like, it's not really like good if you look at it in that context. So that's my long-winded Buffy anecdote. I'm sorry, I just kind of went on a tangent. Yeah. Captain Charming Bro TP, yes, like 100%. I'm so glad I'm glad that we had Emma and Snow talk about it last episode, and I think that was really important. But then I think it's really important that Charming and Hook had, like, somebody talked about it specifically with Hook, because, and I know I just called him Hook and I usually call him Killian, but sometimes I'm just throwing out. Plus I'm looking at my Hook Funko and he has the little hook. But just to have that conversation with him, I think, is important, because like he has felt such guilt about everybody coming down to do it. And he's just like, y'all, I didn't want, like, I was okay and I was fine to come down here, and like I did it for you and you didn't have to do this. And so like him having this conversation of like, we wanted to be here, and also like, I kind of like you, like it was just like, it was a good conversation, a good moment to like just stick a pin in the fact of like, we're all here for you, stop freaking out about it. So yeah. Um, yeah, I hope neither Rumpel nor Maurice are true love. At this point, she ain't seen a true love. Well, Scarlet. Or again, let's just bring Ruby back in. Ruby can be the pinch hitter for everybody's true love kiss. Just everybody just go kiss Ruby to fix all of your problems, and it'll be fine. Everybody will be happy. Yeah. I don't know. Belle thinking, the comment is, I'm not sure about why Belle thinks Hades can't just accelerate the pregnancy while she's under the curse. He's magic. I'm sure he can alter her body even if she is in stasis. I think that could be true. But if we're trying, I'm going to talk out of my ass for a little bit. Not that you guys aren't used to this, because this is just how I operate. However, roll with it. Like, I think we're operating under the assumption that to be put under a sleeping curse, you do just go into stasis. Nothing changes, nothing breaks down. And we're not like, because if I'm thinking about the Sleeping Beauty movie, the original was the animated one forever ago. And like how like it specifically showed the kingdom changing and like stuff, like the fairies made sure to put everybody to sleep so that when Aurora woke back up, then like everybody would be fine and everything go back to normal. But like they specifically made sure to show like all these plants grew up over the castle and things happened and like time changed, like all the little tricks that you do to show that time passes without actually having to like wait for 100 years for time to actually pass. And like through all that, everybody stayed in stasis in the same thing, because if you don't have that absolute stasis, then like your body still, your cells grow and they die and they break down and whatever. And like, even if we don't have that and we still have Hades, like some, I'm trying to science magic. This is gonna take a minute. So if we have Hades somehow like taking her body out of stasis while she's still in this coma and still accelerating the pregnancy, like I could see it happening, but then would he just like remove that aspect of it just to keep the baby? Because like if he removed her out of the stasis, then like her cells would start functioning again. Like that's, I think that's what they're trying to get at, is like the sleeping curse puts everything to a halt. And so the baby's not going to grow. Nothing's going to change in her body. So she's not going to, her muscles aren't going to atrophy. She's not going to lose any weight and be completely unhealthy and like very sickly while she's, I'm sorry, I'm sciencing and medicinging, medicaling. I don't know. I'm medicinging. So they're trying, like, basically just to make sure that you don't die while you're in the sleeping curse, because that's not the point. So because if you died, then like what, they would just kill you, not put you to sleep. So like your body can't break down while you're just laying there for however long. So like I guess Hades would have to magically put her into a coma to then speed up everything, because the baby would need access to all the nutrients and the resources and everything in Belle's body to quickly grow. And I'm trying not to think about the body horror of how that happens and everything that should have happened to Zelina, because I know too much about science for that to not make me go like that. And like, yeah, so Hades would have to still put her into some kind of coma for that to happen. And I'm not sure if she just, I don't know. And I don't know if he would be willing. I'm sure if he really wanted that baby, he'd be willing to go that far and to do that. But I don't know. And I'd have to think about that. So yeah, he could alter her body, but he'd have to change how her brain is out of commission at the moment. So, which could maybe, I don't know. I mean, he's a god, so he can do kind of whatever he wants, but I'm still trying to operate within the laws of what's established, which you know, the show doesn't do that all the time, but I'm trying to work with what I'm given. So, yeah. And that was a very long ramble about magic science. Yeah, so I think, yeah, so that's where I'm at. Okay, so the True Love Soulmate thing made sense, which was a while ago. Yeah, I'm sure you're not sorry about making me go on a Buffy tangent. Okay, so I'm not really seeing any activity. Gladly the stream is still going, because I was like, it wasn't working so much when I started this thing that I was just like, please don't die midway when I'm in this big, long, rambly thing about science and magic. So yeah, I don't really have anything else today, and I honestly have a lot to do. So I think if I'm going to let the chat go for another second, if anybody wants to say anything, please speak now or forever hold your peace until next week. I'm going to refresh / go into other things to make sure that nobody's doing a thing or a stuff. And I'm going to take a drink because I'm doing a lot of talking. Okay. So I think that's going to be it for now, because I'm not seeing any activity anywhere. So yeah, that's it for this week. Sorry it's kind of short, but again, didn't have too much to really dig my teeth into. Hopefully next week we see some more, because I am kind of looking forward more to the sisters versus the brothers. I'm kind of looking to see how the A line, B line of that's going to work out. If we're going to check in with Snow or not. Very interested to see how we're going to handle people being separated again. And how we move forward from here. And hopefully this week goes a little bit better for everybody. Hopefully everybody has a good week. Please leave comments if you've been watching the not stream. We can chat in comments afterwards, and I will my brain just completely blanked. Sorry. All right, so I'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.